Yo, look, I know you want to know about all the best areas in Albuquerque, but I'm here to talk about some of the best suburbs in today's video because a ton of you guys have been asking me, what about the different areas outside of Albuquerque? Can you talk a little bit more about them? And we've been talking about one city in our previous video, which is Rancho, and that city is included in today's video, but we are going to talk about the surrounding areas and different things that you can expect when it comes to the pros and the cons of living in some of these suburbs. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time tuning into the channel, well, welcome. Man, I've been having so much fun doing these videos wherever I can do them. The last video we did at the office in one of our back rooms, and then today we're back in the garage. Like, I love being able to communicate with you guys every week wherever I can because of the great ideas that keep coming up. And I feel like you guys need to know, especially if you're looking to move down here to New Mexico. So if this is your first time tuning into the Living in Albuquerque channel, welcome guys. My name is Eli. Go ahead and hit that subscribe and notification bell down at the bottom. That way you guys never miss out on any videos because we are dropping videos every week talking about what this beautiful state of New Mexico has to offer and all the different cities in it. So if that's something that you're interested in and you're looking to possibly move within the next 6 months to a year, as much as I love doing this, guys, I would love to also help you out with your real estate needs. And that number popping up on the screen is my direct line. Me and my team are ready to help you guys make this move a lot seamless, a lot easier, and a lot more digestible. So feel free to reach out. We love to chat. Call or text us at any time. Now, I can't go into this video without giving you a little bit of context. Last week, I had a few conversations where people let me know that I should probably really do a video talking about the different areas outside of Albuquerque and give you guys kind of like a simple breakdown of some pros and some cons of these, said areas. And when I was picking all these different suburbs and different little towns and all that stuff, I had this list of like 10 to 20 different areas. So I hopped onto niche.com and I said, which areas does niche.com really talk about the most? Based off of search, based off of, different things that people are looking for, and based off of their own ranking system. So I simplified it, I made it a lot easier, and I picked some of the top areas that niche.com was talking about just to help you guys better understand some of the more popular areas that I'm guessing you're already looking into. So in that, I also wanted to make sure that you guys understood some of these things from my own experiences of living near these areas and kind of just being around them and going into them and doing different things in these areas. Number one up on this list, guys, is going to be Corrales. And Corrales offers you a pretty cool type of living, if I can say, because it's not going to be fast paced. It's not going to be, big on its infrastructure. It's not going to be this city living kind of thing, but you are going to get luxurious living and you are going to get more upscale living. Corrales back in the day, or even now, is still known to be the wine circle of New Mexico. And history says, I don't remember exactly where I've seen this, but history says that Corrales was one of the first wine countries even before Napa was. So I don't know exactly what book I read it in, but I do remember seeing that information. It really hit me like a ton of bricks in seeing that, because I was like, man, New Mexico really has a deep-rooted culture that has been here way longer than we actually think. So with that being said, some of the pros of living there in Corrales is going to be that luxurious living, upscale living, larger lots. Like if you want to live in a rural area with more quiet, more peace, or more peace and quiet, like this is going to be the area for you. And if you don't mind paying a little bit more for it, then I totally recommend just checking out Corrales, seeing if it's going to fit your wants and your needs, and especially if you're an artist, right? Because another pro about living in Corrales is going to be that it is an artistic community. So you are going to have farmers markets, little vendors, people that get together in the community to share their different arts and crafts. You're going to have art galleries and a lot more small businesses in that area. So that's something that really is kind of like the core and essence of Albuquerque and New Mexico all together, and it's still very alive in a slow-paced area. The third pro is going to be that, right? The peace and quiet that you get from living in this area. Sure, you may hear a horse or two, or a chicken, or a pig, or a donkey. Like, I don't know, the rural type of lifestyle out there, and the larger lots, and it being just a small little village, it really gives you a peace and quiet. And it is a one way in, one way out kind of thing. One lane streets, dirt roads. Like, I don't know how much more I can paint the picture of slow living and quiet living and rural living than Corrales, guys. So talking about some of the negatives on here, it's not going to be a whole lot. One of the big negatives, of course, I already kind of put it out there, is the higher cost of living. So on average, a home here is going to cost you anywhere from $400,000 to over $500,000, just all depending on the type of land that you're getting, how close to the Rio Grande you are, or if you want to live at the top of the hill on Corrales. Like, it's just all depending, right, guys? And each pocket's a little bit different. Some areas going to be a little bit more desert than the others, but if you are considering living in Corrales and you don't mind paying that higher price tag for living there, or just being away from some of these other amenities, right? You're gonna have to drive into Albuquerque to go to a Costco, Sam's Club, Sprouts, or whatever have you, and you don't mind spending that extra money to do so, then again, I totally recommend just looking into this. But the other con on this list is that, right, is the limited amenities. If you are okay with just shopping at the little market, the co-ops, the little local spots there in Corrales, and you don't need much more, and you're okay with just driving into town on the weekends because you need to do your shopping at Costco and all that stuff, this is gonna be a perfect lifestyle for you. But if you are traveling in and out and going to Albuquerque or going to Rancho for work, you're gonna find that being in traffic is gonna get old pretty quick. You know what's funny, guys, is I'm probably gonna get some flack on this because these two areas on this list that Niche.com is saying that these areas are more popular for people. Like, these are the areas that people are actually looking into, are some of the more expensive ones. And by all means, that was not my intention. I really just wanted to pull some information from the good old internet to help you guys realize what areas are gonna offer what in terms of popularity, especially with some of the conversations that I'm having, because Sandia Heights, which is this next neighborhood or suburb, is very popular in all the conversations that I have, and it's just because of what the internet's pulling up. So I figured I'd clear some waters here for you guys. In living in Sandia Heights, yes, you are going to pay a little bit more, but you're going to get some of those same features that you get in Corrales, right? The only difference is that you're going to be living at the basin of the mountains. Now, what can you expect, and what are some of the pros of living in Sandia Heights? Well, what I think is cool, and one of the biggest pros, is going to be you're going to get mountain views. Like, you're going to be able to look up out your window and just see mountains. Like, that's freaking awesome. Now, I wish the mountains had a little bit more trees, bigger evergreen trees, but hey, you get what you get, you take what you can get when it comes down to living in an affordable city. And yes, it's still affordable considering Sandia Heights is one of the more expensive areas to live in. Like, yes, you do have $1 million homes up there, but you still have homes well under $500,000 in that area. And another pro about living here is that you're gonna be super close to nature. You're gonna have easy access to trails and outdoor recreational things that it's almost a no-brainer for that nature lover who really just wants to be able to put some shoes on and just kind of hit the trails from their front doorstep. So another cool thing about living there is going to be the spacious homes and the spacious lots you get. Much like Corrales, you are going to get some space in between your neighbors. So if that's what you're looking for and you don't mind paying a little bit extra for it, I highly recommend looking into living in Sandia Heights, especially if you want to switch it up from living in, the bosque or the desert into living at the base of the mountains. So with all that being said, what are some of the cons? There's not a whole lot, to be honest with you guys. One of the cons is going to be that price tag that you have to pay in order to live here, right? You are going to be paying a little bit more when it comes down to your house, especially if you are planning on building a house there, because again, it's the basin of a mountain. You're gonna have to do a lot of groundwork, so just be prepared for that. And of course, just like Corrales, you are gonna be a little bit farther away from some amenities. So big con for a lot of people is the daily commutes. I know that living in New Mexico, it's nothing like living in, California, Texas, Georgia, Florida. Like, you're not gonna have these super long commutes, guys. I'm talking about like less than 30 minutes to get your groceries. And believe it or not, they have a ton of shopping centers at the basin of the mountain. So you might actually find yourself driving a little less. So a couple things to consider if you are retired and you are ready for that peace and quiet, perfect area, because a little kind of hidden nugget. Living at the basin of the mountains, they have an ordinance where you can't have any bright lights to obstruct from the views at night. So pretty cool thing there. So if you are considering moving here, I highly recommend it. Okay, now coming back to life, being a little bit more normal on this list, the next area is a city, but at the same time it's still a suburb, right? Because of the size of it. It's not very big. In Rio Rancho, we had a conversation last week about this area, and I talked about why I personally wouldn't move here, but I'm gonna give you guys a different outlook, right? Because in talking about these more expensive areas, Rio Rancho just is that more affordable area to live in, and you can definitely get way more bang for your buck here. We have a house listed in Rio Rancho right now that is like an entry-level luxury home that is well priced under $800,000 with all these custom features. You're sitting on an acre. Like, there's so much that this place offers, like beautiful mountain views, and you're super close to all different types of amenities. And the neighbor next door, I give you guys a little hint, is gonna be building a bigger house. So it's safe to say that your investment is gonna be protected. But a couple pros of living in Rio Rancho is gonna be that there is more affordable housing in this area. Like, on average, you're gonna pay anywhere from $250,000 to $400,000 for an average house when you live in Rio Rancho. And of course, there is more room to grow. So all the different commercial areas that they're building in Rio Rancho, like, you're in the middle of the growth spurt of this city. And with the population there only being shy over 100,000 people, there's a ton of opportunity for that growth there. Now, again, more families are moving out here because it is a suburb. Like, there's really nothing out there but communities, and there's not going to be a ton of like high-rise buildings and city life and events and all that stuff. So people move out to Rio Rancho to get some of the better rated schools, some of the peace and quiet that comes with living out there, and then of course just that drawback from that everyday city rush is pretty awesome when it comes down to living in Rio Rancho. So super family friendly. And if you are considering moving to Rio Rancho, a few cons that I personally have talked about in the past is gonna be, number one, the limited amenities. So if you ever need to travel into Albuquerque for whatever reason, you more than likely are gonna have about a 20 to 30 minute drive anywhere that you wanna go, right? Even if you wanna get to Cottonwood, it's gonna be about 15 to 20 minutes just through traffic. So just be mindful of those kinds of things. I know a ton of people that live in Rio Rancho that tell me that since they don't have a dedicated freeway system, that it's a pain in the butt sometimes just to go and get your groceries. So just keep that in mind. And with that, right, bringing up the daily commutes, that's the other negative thing that I can see about living in Rio Rancho is that if you do work in Albuquerque, you're gonna have an average of about a 45 minute to an hour drive, just depending on the traffic. And if you are like me, 45 minutes to an hour is way too long. But I'm sure that whatever city that you're moving from, any major city, their average drives are anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours. So I think an hour is gonna be a saving grace, especially if you can get a whole hour to two back to your life to do whatever you want with it, right? Now I gotta apologize, like, I haven't talked about this area a whole ton, and it's really hasn't made our list because honestly, driving out to Los Lunas is a 45-minute drive from my house, and anytime that I go out there, it's usually in the evenings. So I really have to dedicate pretty much a whole day to making content about Las Lunas. And I recently just did a new home subdivision out there. You can go back and check out our Hakes Brothers video. And I brought up different points about living in Las Lunas. So if you are considering moving down here, just like Rancho, it's going to be affordable. It's going to have, you know, more bang for your buck. It's going to be a growing city. So with all that comes opportunity. But getting into the pros, one of the big pros is going to be that the affordability of living out in Las Lunas and what you can purchase when it comes down to a house. Now, it is going to be a little bit more land. It is going to be anywhere between, you know, a newer and an older home, but on average, you can expect to pay about $350,000 for a house in Las Lunas, and that's good, considering that the average price of a home anywhere in the United States is well over $450,000. And of course, things are readjusting right now in today's market, so I can expect that it's going to be even less to purchase a house down there, and all the new home builders are offering great incentives. I know that the last video that we did about the Hakes Brothers, they were offering like $30,000 in flex cash. I'm sure it's changed by now, so if you are wondering about what these different builders are offering, you want us to give you all that information, again, feel free to reach out. A pro about living out there is just the whole suburban feel. Like, you really are gonna feel like you're detached away from Albuquerque. You really aren't gonna have to travel into Albuquerque because they got everything that you could possibly want and need out there, and it's only growing. And I heard that Costco is actually looking to build another warehouse out there, so that's actually pretty cool. One thing about living in Las Lunas, again, with that ranchy feel, that ranchy vibe, it's gonna be a little bit more green, and you are gonna have easier access to nature. Like, you're gonna be like less than an hour away from the Manzano Mountains. You are gonna be closer to the Rio Grande. You are gonna be right next door to Peralta, Bosque Farms, which are big ranching little villages. Like, there's so much in terms of being outside out here, and the weather year round is pretty good. Like, yes, they do get more snow, more rain, but I mean, who doesn't want that? Especially if you are growing crops. Like, I have clients that grow, you know, crops in the back of their yard, and that's what they moved out there for, to be able to live that type of lifestyle, to be outside more, to enjoy nature more, to, I guess, just live that type of lifestyle. Like, I don't know what to call it. Like, maybe it's like the ranchy type of lifestyle, that farm lifestyle. It's actually pretty cool how slowed down and how much peace and quiet you get in living in Las Lunas. And of course, with all of those good things, there has to be some negatives, and a few drawbacks with living in Las Lunas is going to be the commute into Albuquerque. On average, like I let you know, from where I live on the west side, it's about a 45-minute drive. I got a client that we sold the house to that lives a little bit outside of Las Lunas in one of the more rural areas, in a newer home, of course, that she let me know on average it takes her anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes to get to downtown Albuquerque. So that is also pretty good. So you have just a mixture of, you know, different times that it's going to take you to get from Albuquerque to Las Lunas, or vice versa. It's all going to be depending on how far and how deep you live in Las Lunas. And then, of course, with the same thing as Rio Rancho, there's just limited amenities, but you can expect that when you do live in a more suburban kind of, you know, rural city outside of the major city like Albuquerque. Okay guys, it's pretty interesting to see the similarities in some of these areas and how they differ and what they all offer, whether it's affordability, you know, ruralness, you want peace and quiet, you want more family friendly, you want to be away from the city, you know, all the noise and the hustle and bustle, or, you know, you just want to have a different experience in your type of lifestyle when it comes down to living here in Albuquerque. We all know that these things are very important, all these pros and cons, but we all know that a lot of people are relocating down here because of the affordability and really what New Mexico has to offer. Like, the lifestyle here is so unique. And if you guys want to chat a little bit more about any of these areas, you feel like, man, I really need to know more about a Corrales, I really need to know more about this place called Las Lunas, feel free to reach out. That number popping up on the screen is my direct line. I'd love to chat with you guys, get on a Zoom call, talk about all these different areas. And of course, if you guys are wondering about renting an area, Again, we help with connecting you to those property managers and giving you all the best tools and resources to make that search a lot easier. But if you guys are ready to move, we love to help. Feel free to reach out. I love to help. I'm gonna get back inside. It's breakfast time. It's Sunday morning and it's time for breakfast. It's time to have some coffee. I'm gonna go inside. I hope you guys have a great week. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.